Hey, welcome back to my gameplay experience video. So now we are on to Black Ops 2, and you would assume that the first map would in fact be Transit, and I felt as if it'd only be appropriate to actually start with Transit sub-maps, which would consist of Bus Depot, Farm, and Town. So we'll be actually taking care of all three of those maps in this video. And with that said, however, we will actually be grading these videos in a different way. These maps are not meant to be innovative or creative. They're just supposed to be facets of Transit. So, we're going to be mainly basing them on their purpose and a bit on its aesthetic, but honestly, any problems with these maps in particular will probably be mostly reflected in Transit. So, without further ado, let's just get right into it. So looking at what Bus Depot is, it is supposed to be reminiscent of Nocturne Toten, just a little bit more modernized with the BO2 engine, but the accessibility still remained the same. The mystery box is there, no perks are there, it's just your skill, the mystery box, and a couple wall weapons and a training spot. That's all you got in this map. And honestly, its purpose is incredibly clear. This is for the really advanced players who need to get that rust off, who need to face a challenge to warm up, everything like that. And its purpose is definitely respectable, but looking at the aesthetics of the map, I can't talk it too hard because this is just a part of Transit, and Transit will be receiving a lot of the visual critiques because it's the one responsible for the appearance of the three sub-maps. Either way, though, the visuals don't really hold up, and the map as a whole is just... it doesn't have that Nocturne Toten vibe to it. Yes, it mimics it, but it just lacks the charm that Nocturne Toten had. Nocturne Toten was supposed to be scary, and in a way, it made you feel isolated. This just... it feels like a cop-off, and I get in a sense that's what it's trying to be, but there's a difference between trying to be reminiscent of something and just downright trying to be something but failing in the end. You got the components of Nocturne Toten, but you don't have the emotions it conveys, and as a result, that really takes away from the experience. There's not much else to say other than that because this map is so lacking, and although that's its purpose, it's still lacking, nevertheless. So, as a whole, my final rating for Bus Depot is a 5.0 out of 10. Now we can safely move on to Farm, and Farm is very easy to see that it is reminiscent of Verrückt. Verrückt is supposed to be a tight quarters, 4 basic perks, no pack-punch based type of map. And Farm does a pretty good job of taking those factors into account, and its design overall works for what it's trying to convey. I will say that the original Verrückt will always be better than Farm, but Farm is a good map as a whole. It's not great, but it's good. The perk placements do okay. I do like the tighter training spot. It's good if you're in for a challenge, but you don't want your balls to be blown off in the meantime. It's balanced. It teaches you about prioritizing headshots when all you can rely on is an MP5 with Double Tap 2.0. Wonderful. I love it, and though it's objectively not a great map, I love it because it's a simple, good map that I can have a good time on. So my rating for Farm is a 7.0 out of 10. Last but not least, and probably actually the most if anything, we have Town, and Town is supposed to be reminiscent of Der Riese. And honestly, I think Town's a great map. It's amazing for new players if you're looking to get better at zombies. On top of that, it's great for intermediate players and even advanced players if you're willing just to get the rust off of your shoulders. It's a fun map. The only detriment it has is the lava, but that's more Transit's fault than anything, so Transit's going to lose points, not so much Town. And although the visuals in Town, because of Transit, look absolutely horrible, the way the map is designed, in particular with perks being so close together, 2 or 3 available training spots at all times, it's really good. And although its contents are that of what Der Riese has, your perks and your pack-a-punch, it's handled differently, and it almost gives Town its own identity. Town is good because the perks are so close together. Der Riese is good because although it's really basic and it's good for new players, there are mechanics in it that Town does not share. Town wasn't trying to be like Der Riese. Town was just taking what Der Riese had and made it differently. And as a whole, I think that gives Town a lot of credit for being a good map. Black Ops 2's first 4 maps were 3 submaps and 1 whole new map, and Town is probably the best of the 4, though we'll get into Transit when we get there. So, as a whole, I think Town's a remarkable map, and although it's not super innovative or anything like that, its purpose is applicable to every type of player. So, my final rating for Town is an 8.5 out of 10. Great map, worth playing here and there.